What's going on, guys? I'm Cameron from The Breakdown here with my boys Peyton Surratt, Alex Gulakis. Today we'll be recapping over the 2023 first round, only the first round of the NFL draft. We're just going to give y'all our initial thoughts through the first, 31 picks. So let's get into it. Starting off at number one, no shocker, Bryce Young to the Carolina Panthers. Easy pick. Everybody thought this.
Nothing much to say there.
Nothing much to say. Franchise quarterback.
Yeah,
They
Panthers.
say mini Russell Wilson.
Panthers gave up too much for him, but
I agree, but
It is what it is.
that's what it is.
Moving on to pick number two to the Houston Texans. Probably also not a shocker. A little smoke screen with the no QB going at number two, but CJ Stroud does find his way in Houston.
not sold on Stroud, but the Texans needed to get a quarterback to accelerate this rebuild. So, I mean, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, pick doesn't bother me as well. Peyton.
It's a good pick. I had nothing really to it.
And then a move that no one really saw was the Houston's trading with Arizona to pick number three for Will Anderson.
I love that. I love Anderson. He would have been the 101 in last year's class, so I think he's an elite edge rusher. You can build your defense around him, so I love that pick to go with Stroud.
Yeah, I think he's just a high floor guy that you need on your defense. I mean, D'Amico Ryan's needed a captain on defense after we lost Okoronkwo, so you needed somebody on the edge to have a little bit of production in year one.
Agreed. Arguably the best player in this draft class, and to get him at number three, great pick. Number four, Anthony Richardson to the Indianapolis Colts.
This was kind of a smoke screen. I heard a lot of talks of Indianapolis.
I thought Levis was going to go here,
Yeah.
but Athletic Freak has all the tools in the world. The only thing that bothers me is there's not really a veteran for him to learn behind, and I don't think I wouldn't want to start him week one with all of his, because he has a lot of things he needs to work out before I think you want to throw him into the fire.
He's a real project, but the most athletic quarterback prospect of all time. So I'm excited to see how he pans out in the NFL.
The only thing I hear is good things about him. I mean, like, you talk about, like, after he got drafted, you don't really hear any bad things about him, and you're hearing, like, oh, highest ceiling. So if he busts,
So moving on, pick number five. The first defensive back goes off. Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois.
A little bit of a surprise, but I think him and Woolen are going to be a problem. Going to be a good part of that Seahawks defense. They had a really good draft.
Yeah, they did have a great draft.
I think they did a good draft. But I personally, I like the pick just from Witherspoon's a really good player, but I think Seattle had really big needs on the interior defensive line. Tyree Wilson would have been a great pick here.
I agree. I think that's one way they could have went, but you really can't argue against Witherspoon. He's a great prospect.
Yeah.
But moving on, pick number six, offensive tackle Paris Johnson to the Arizona Cardinals.
I mean, protect Kyler. He just gave him all that money. He's coming off an injury, so that's kind of a no-brainer. Not flashy, but
I personally hate this pick, honestly. I was
do
looking
you
at
hate the player or the position? I like the position.
Yeah, I think
it
we
was
like
probably
the-
better.
No,
not the-
they needed Paris Johnson, but at the same time, they had the lowest graded front seven last year, and I thought that was a surefire trade up to get Jalen Carter before the Raiders snagged him, which they took Tyree Wilson.
Yeah.
I mean, I think their offensive line obviously needed help, but I mean that's just that run game for Arizona. Like Jonathan Gannon coming in has zero players that even can play defense. Like it's gonna be awful.
So we already pretty much talked about it, but Tyree Wilson to the Raiders.
Him and Crosby on both sides of the ends are going to be a problem.
I love that
pick.
Yeah, Wilson's just a lengthy dude that can just bull rush people. I love it.
So pick number eight, some may say a controversial pick, Bijan Robinson to the Falcons.
I don't like it at all. Bijan's an incredible prospect and
Yeah.
generational in that sense. So it has nothing to do with him as a player, but I don't think that drafting a running back when you have that many holes, especially on defense, especially at wide receiver, especially, you don't even know if you have the answer at quarterback, and plugging in a running back is not going to help you win football games. Maybe for the fans, it's something to watch for the fans, but you just drafted a 1,000-yard rusher last year in Algier, so I don't like it.
For me, it's not even the fact that you have many holes to fill, but I just don't see the fact that drafting a running back in the top 10 will do you any good.
running backs are just too replaceable. Replaceable.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So moving on, one of the best players in this class, Jalen Carter, slips to number 9 for the Philadelphia Eagles. Definitely a steal.
The rich get richer.
It's just
That defense is insane.
unfortunate for every NFL fantasy team.
Not much to say about it, but the fact that arguably the best team in the league gets the best player in the draft. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously Carter has his off the field issues, but you're drafting for purely upside, and if you're putting him around a bunch of vets like Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox, like you're gonna rely on them to just kind of coach him up and help him off the field by helping him on the field.
Pick number 10, Darnell White, offensive tackle to the Chicago Bears.
I loved like the prospect Darnell Wright, but I don't get the Bears move right there. You move back to get an offensive tackle when you could have traded down from 1 to 9 when the guy at 1 you're gonna draft at 1 fell to 9.
Yeah, but I think you need to protect Fields. That offensive line was so bad last year. I think that has to be number one priority.
I know, but it's
I
like the defensive line wasn't that good either. Like their defensive line kind of sucked.
It's just I like the move. It's not flashy, but
I would have gone Broderick Jones over Darnell Wright. I had him rated higher on my big board.
All right, pick number 11, Peter Skoronski to the Tennessee Titans.
I love that pick. He's a really nice tackle. I think. I mean, Tennessee is kind of in a weird phase right now, in a sense, where they don't really know what direction they're going in. But he's a really good prospect.
We'll see how those short arms affect him in the NFL.
He would have been a great fit in Atlanta.
Shocker. Jahmyr Gibbs to the Lions. I'm sure not many people knew what the Lions were doing here.
Great
prospect.
The same thing I said about Bijan.
Yeah.
I apply here to a team that literally
Just paid David Montgomery.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
literally gave up like 40 points a game last year.
Yeah.
And you go and draft a running back. Not to say that Gibbs isn't good, but I think he was even like, I don't even think people were sure that he was even going to be a first round pick.
Right.
And you draft him 4 picks after Bijan. So if I don't like Bijan at 8, I definitely don't like Gibbs at 12.
Yeah.
And you had Swift. Swift is cut from the same mold as Gibbs is, you know?
Right.
They traded him, but I don't like it.
Great prospect, but 12 is a little too high in a bad situation. So, Lucas Van Ness, pick 13th to the Green Bay Packers.
What are we doing?
I mean, he's a great prospect, but it's just same year, different years, same story.
Which way would you have gone?
I would have drafted JSN. I would have drafted
would've
Jackson
too.
Smith. I mean, they need receivers, but you know, hey man, that's just time after time we see that. That's just never gonna happen.
Or even with Bakhtiari getting hurt so much, I would have drafted Broderick Jones in the spot.
I don't know.
Or Christian Gonzalez.
He's a good player, but I would have gone wide receiver.
So, Steelers trade up with the Patriots to pick number 14 to
This
select.
was a great pick
Broderick
because
A+.
the Jets were that was the Jets guy, and they came up and they stole him from him. So you trade up and you get your guy. Love that.
Bill playing chess, not checkers.
Protect the future.
And they get help for Najee,
Yeah.
which they really
Finally.
needed.
Yeah.
So, speaking of the Jets, Will McDonald, pick 15th to the Jets.
That was a panic pick.
I think it's a panic pick, but I really like I think he actually is gonna pan out because Robert Saleh on the phone. They had him at Iowa State. They had Will McDonald in the 4-eye, which is basically like lining up over the guards. And Saleh said, line up in the 4-eye. We're gonna change you to like the 9Y, which is actually the edge rusher. Will McDonald was like 238, can fly off the ball. He was even productive over the guards instead of off the tackle. So I think they're gonna move him to the edge. It's gonna be pretty productive, but not to say it wasn't a bad pick because it wasn't a household name.
Okay. So, pick 16th, we got Emmanuel Forbes to the Washington Commanders.
This was kind of a random pick, but I don't know. He has like that kind of build that like Sauce kind of had, like we and lengthy. I think Sauce had a little more meat on his bones, but I don't like dislike the pick. But the Commanders are kind of just like a weird in the middle team that we don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I agree. Pick 17, probably the steal of the draft, in my opinion. Top 10 prospect, number 1 quarterback, Christian Gonzalez to the New England Patriots.
Great value.
The athleticism's off the charts.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill's gonna.
I mean, he was supposed to be a top 10 pick.
Not much to say here.
They're gonna mold him into probably a top 10 cornerbacks.
Many people said he had a top 10 grade. I can agree with that.
I feel like
To get him at 17
He had like a
was
92 grade, which was like 8th.
crazy. Jack Campbell, 18th to the Detroit Lions.
What the hell are the Lions doing? This is really bad.
It was a rough draft for them. They got the guys that they wanted, but it was like flip-flop picks. Like,
No,
you could've
not even
got-
flip-flop picks. They could have gotten him probably He got a second round grade on
They're
him.
just reaching.
Jack Campbell had a second round grade. Like, he's a humongous athletic freak out of Iowa. It's like 6'5", 250, but like I heard the scouting reports like he's gonna be great on bull rushes, and I'm like, okay, if that's all he's good for, like,
Lions have a little bit
Could've
of an
gone
Iowa fetish.
yeah, that's true.
All right, moving on. Pick 19th, Kalijah Kancey to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Kind of early. I thought this is where Brian Branch would go, and
Yeah, but
Detroit got him in 45.
Branch. Pick 20, Jackson Smith and Jigba to the Seattle Seahawks.
I love this pick. I mean, by far the wide receiver one of the class. People were calling for him to be like a top 5 to 10 pick last year, and he falls to 20, where he slots in with DK and Lockett. It's a crazy wide receiver trio. So I love that pick. I mean, he's a star.
That offense is going to be fun to watch next year. And then pick 21, the second wide receiver goes off back-to-back. Quentin Johnson to the
I don't like it.
Chargers.
What the hell are the Chargers doing?
They drafted a Mike Williams' clone, is what they did. Instead of addressing the defense that lets Herbert down every year. So I don't really like it. I don't hate Quentin Johnson as a player, but I don't think that he plays the same. He's the same as Mike Williams in a sense. Like, I don't see the point in drafting him when you have so many other needs.
It was rough on the offensive side because Mike Will and Keenan have been banged up pretty
And
much.
they're both making so much money.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. We're talking about this. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them gets cut.
Yeah.
I thought that was a surefire either Deontay Banks or Joey Porter Jr. pick, because drafting a wide receiver or Zay Flowers. I mean, you could have had
Joshua Palmer there too, who was good last year. So.
yeah, like, and it's not. I mean, Herbert's not like begging for weapons. Like,
No, he has weapons.
obviously Keenan Allen's getting
Begging
older.
for a defense.
Yeah, he does. He has zero defense.
And then pick number 22, another wide receiver, Zay Flowers to the Ravens.
I like it. I don't think that he's going to be the most productive just because of the system that he's getting drafted in. But I mean,
Good prospect.
Ravens getting some wide receiver help, which is
You have
desperately
at least someone who takes the top off for defense now, especially with Odell.
he needs to play. You got to play makers. So
Yeah,
that's what they needed in a wide receiver.
And then Jordan Addison, another wide receiver to the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings get their wide receiver 2 behind
You don't like that?
Jefferson as Thielen leaves.
Talk about one of the worst secondaries in the NFL last year. This
Yeah.
was a surefire cornerback pick as well, I thought. But you take wide receiver and get O'Connell another weapon. He's gonna be good.
You're right.
He's gonna be good in the system. Like, obviously
Yeah.
he's gonna put up numbers, but like a cornerback would have been humongous there.
All right, pick number 24, Deontay Banks to the New York Giants.
He's going to be an impact. He's going to make an impact immediately.
Yeah, I thought the Vikings were taking Deontay Banks and then the Giants would pick Jordan Addison, but I like the pick for the Giants. That's a really good pick.
And then the first tight end goes off the board at pick number 25 to the Buffalo Bills, Dalton Kincaid.
I just didn't understand. I mean,
Yeah.
you just signed Dawson Knox to like a 4-year extension, and then you go to draft another tight end. I would have rather seen, now maybe they didn't like any of the wide receiver value there, but I would have rather seen another wide receiver to slot in there than draft another tight end, which is maybe their thinking is that they'd rather take another tight end than a wide receiver. But I mean, you don't really have a wide receiver 2. Gabe Davis has proved he's not a wide receiver 2, so I don't know. I'm not really a fan.
I'm not a fan as well.
And when a team that's trying to win a Super Bowl, when historically tight ends don't produce
In the first couple
in the
of years,
first
yeah.
1 or 2 years, I don't know, it doesn't really make sense.
All right, pick number 26, Mozzie Smith to the Dallas Cowboys.
This is another panic.
Cowboys
They wanted Kincaid, and then they got jumped, and then they didn't know what to do. It's way too safe of a pick when you have the Philadelphia Eagles right
I
next
thought the Cowboys were gonna go Nolan Smith. I mean, the Cowboys didn't have like too many holes to fill besides the defensive line, and I think Nolan Smith would have just been another like Michael Parsons type build that would have propelled your defense.
All right, moving on, pick number 27, Anton Harrison to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
No, I know. I've seen a lot of things about it, how this is a really bad pick, just for the sheer fact that they already have Cam Robinson over there, and they have another, I don't know his name, but they have another offensive tackle that's already like there. So drafting a guy like this in the first round was kind of a waste of a pick.
Okay. Pick number 28 to the Bengals, Miles Murphy.
Miles Murphy, another defensive lineman that just is going to slot in with like Hendrickson and.
I mean, they need to get more pressure. They were struggling to get pressure on Mahomes in that AFC Championship game.
That's true.
I agree. Brian Breesy to the New Orleans Saints at pick 20.
He slid so far. This guy was being talked about as like an early first-round pick, and then he just kept sliding and sliding. I think after the combine, his stock went down a little bit. So I think it's just kind of like, I don't know. I don't like it or don't hate it. I think it's just a solid pick.
They got him at good value.
And then once again, the Eagles at pick 30 with another great pick, another steal, Nolan
As
Smith.
long as he comes back from injury good, then I mean that D line is actually something else. Like that's like a sack. That's a team that could like break a sack record. You look at that D line.
Yeah, it's gonna be
unreal. The
Yeah,
defense that was
matchups.
already insane last year. So.
And then with the last pick in the first round, the Kansas City Chiefs select Felix Uzama.
Gonna be honest, I think the only reason they picked him was he's from Kansas State. They just picked him to keep him in the city. I was like, what the hell are they doing? So I really don't know what that pick was, but gotta live with it, I guess. Well, I mean, yeah, Joey Porter Jr. literally go over the pick after. Could have taken another quarterback, but whatever.
So that wraps it up for us. Our first round NFL 2023 NFL draft grades. Thank y'all for tuning in. Peace out.